What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's get into it, okay? Looking at the charts here on the 15th of February, we have about 20 hours, 37 minutes left in this week, or sorry, in this day. Add an extra day to that to end the week, all right? It is Saturday right now. We had a nice little Friday yesterday, not even a percent to the upside, but while it wasn't the most impressive day on a closing perspective, this price here was higher than anything else that we've seen over the past week, really. So that's nice. That's rather encouraging. But it didn't go anywhere. It just wicked back down. So a little discouragement with the encouragement. The daily RSI is rather encouraging, right? Finding support here time and time again, right? It certainly seems as though we're going to go to the overbought zone because that's essentially what we've done every single time. Other than this one time, I suppose. But even then, that move there was pretty nice. It took us above the 60. A move like that would likely gear Bitcoin up for something around, I would think something around $102,000 to $105,000. If we take a high to low here, that's our golden ratio. Yeah, I suppose. I don't know how it's going to look. We will either tear through our golden ratio and stop between 107 to 105,000. This would likely happen next week, or we'll stop a little bit lower at 102 to 103.3K, somewhere in this area, maybe consolidate below 100K or right around 100K a little bit more, and then the following week to end the month of February, we'll be breaking out to new all-time highs. I got to say that my end-of-month calls are not looking good for February. I've been calling for 130K, right, basically all month since the first week of February, and I don't know if we're going to get there, guys. The end of February right now is here, right here. 130K is all the way up here, right there. To make that move by the end of February, we basically would have to do this. And I'm not saying it's impossible. We take this line, we take that line, what we would have to do, and we put it back here, it's actually pretty similar, right? From a low point there to the high point we would need to reach, we actually hit it faster. We actually saw more growth than that in a shorter amount of time. So I'm not saying it's impossible. In fact, if we break out of this range and make a movement very similar to this, 130K might be too low of an estimate by the end of the month. But it would have to happen now. It would certainly have to start happening this next week. Otherwise, it's just off the table. But at this moment, I'm a little bit discouraged. Still holding to it in case I'm right, but I'm fully prepared to be wrong, man. At the very least, I would assume that by the end of the month of February, we would be at new all-time highs, right? This coming week, if it's about what I would expect it to be, which is we either consolidate in this area or we consolidate in this area. If that's what we're doing by this week, the next week we really could end up, and then that would be the ending week of February. We could end up moving up to about 115 to 122K, as long as we move up next week, right? We could move up higher, of course, but I think right now it might be fair to take those targets. That 130, 132K target by the end of the month, I'm still holding to it, but it might be wise to prepare for slightly lower targets, something between about 115 to 122K. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's where we stop by the end of the month. That seems a bit more doable, and it really will become more clear, more obvious when we have next week's closing prices, right? Whenever we see how we perform with breaking out of this here, right? This is all assuming we break out to the upside. If we break out to the downside, you guys, we're not going to be at 115K or 130K anywhere soon, right? It's going to take more time than that to happen. That might be April, right? We probably wouldn't go that low. We'd probably go even lower. Time will tell. But this is all assuming that we break out to the upside. So we're at 97.8K now. We need to close the day above 97.7K, 97,735. If we can close the day above there, that would likely trigger us to 102 to 103K at least. Anything higher than that is welcome. Daily RSI looks good. 4-hour RSI also looking good, suggestive that we're going to go up, right? You're crowding this 60 over and over and over again. You are bouncing right off of the 40 here. You did get a little bit lower. I will say that's not necessarily too encouraging, but coming out of this lower trend, this lower high, lower low trend in the 4-hour RSI, now that you're breaking out of it sideways, I think it's to be expected that even if you are switching things a little bit more bullish, you might get some of these more bearish readings at first. I want to start seeing, as we had some readings below the 40 here, I want to start seeing more readings above the 60 and hopefully into the overbought zone. And then when we come down, I don't want to see things below the 40, or at the very least, I don't want to see things in the oversold zone. So when we start to get that transition, I think we'll be more underway with this move up. As of right now, looking at the 4-hour time frame, I would say there's no immediate need to move up. It could be, you know, it's the weekend, so maybe over the next 2 days we just kind of move sideways. I wouldn't be surprised at all if, you know, by the end of this week we were back down at 96K or something like that. And maybe by the end of today, maybe by the end of Saturday, we're down there, and then Sunday we come back up and we close the day right here. I don't know, but I wouldn't think that we do anything too exciting over the weekend. The 4 hours certainly doesn't suggest that. In fact, the 4 hour makes me think we might go lower from here, unless we press higher rather immediately. 1 hour time frame, more bullish than bearish right now, but overall very volatile. So I wouldn't be surprised, again, with a little volatility here. I wouldn't be surprised if we move down. That was a lot of volume, right? If we look at this whole 1 hour range, that was a pretty decent amount of volume coming in at the high, but you didn't go anywhere, right? All you did was you sold back. So I don't think you're going to break out. I think that's rather indicative, actually, that you might go lower. So let's prepare for that. You're at 97.8K now, low to high. Prepare yourselves for prices that are between 97 to 96,000, maybe even just below $96,000. That could happen over the next 2 days. Might have a bit of a red weekend, and then starting next week, if not starting on Sunday, I would suspect that we start moving up, and next week is where the glory is going to be. So I don't really know what else to say other than that, you guys. After next week, once we go into the end of the month, we're on to new all-time highs. Going into March, we're going to see prices that are anywhere from like 160 to 170, 180K, I think. And then we'll go from there, man. I do suspect that March will promote a relative high, though I think that this next consolidation phase might be shorter lived than even this consolidation phase. I don't know. It might seem kind of strange, but you know, I think by the end of March, we'll be up around here. By the end of April, we'll probably correct a little bit, consolidate, and then going into the end of April or going into May, I think we'll continue moving higher. But time will tell. We'll see how that goes. It's not so clear at this moment. I think it's not clear because we haven't done anything, right? We need to pick a heading, and not only do we need to pick a heading, but we need to see what it does, right? If we only move up, if by the end of March we're only at 120K, it's not really fair to talk about prices at 200K, is it? If by the end of March we're at where I was talking about, at about 170 to 180K, and then April comes around, it's the end of April, and we consolidate and we start moving up into May, I think it's fair to start talking about $200,000 targets. So until then, it's not really fair. I want to see how we break out of this, not just what direction, but how we do it. Is it vivacious? Is it lackluster? You know, all those things. I'm rambling at this point, so I'm going to end the video. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. We're probably just going to patiently wait for the weekend to end. Next week, we'll start the party back up, move up to prices that are well above 100K. The following week, on to new all-time highs, and then March is where the real party starts. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Bye-bye.